Hey guys, Ritter here, and today I'm going to go over something a little different. We're doing new player tips, tricks, and generalized notes, things like that for you to do as somebody who is new to PoE2. I played a little bit of PoE1, a couple hundred hours, not a lot. I played about, well, where are we sitting? Hold on, it's like 300-ish hours of PoE2 at this point. Yeah, 351 at the current moment. So I played a decent amount of PoE2, and these are the things that I've learned from starting with a Hardcore Witch Day 1 launch, and classes to play, things to avoid, leveling suggestions, build things, all that stuff we're going to go over in this video, as well as mapping related things, stuff like that. So first thing I'm going to go ahead and recommend for every new player to do in the very beginning, in the first 4 levels-ish, you're going to want to put what I call equipment points. So this character has a point in Dex and and a point in Strength because my character primarily levels off Dex, and I want to be able to equip different items. So if we take a look at my character sheet, I actually have a decent amount of Strength and a decent amount of Dex. I can equip most Strength, Dex items. A lot of the items in the game are going to be dual requirement. It's very rare to get one that's a singular requirement and it also be good. Like this one is just a Dex item, right? It's okay. It's got reduced attribute requirements, so I have probably enough Dex to use this anyways, but a lot of the items are going to have dual. I had to tech a lot of single type items, single requirement items. Also, I just happened to get a couple, but most items that you're going to care about come late game, like above where I'm at. I'm only level 75, I'm not there yet. Are going to have dual requirements. It also helps with build variety and being able to change around your build. Helps with your health situation, your mana if you care about that, stuff like that. So that's a thing I want to go ahead and talk about, is put some early points in. You can always go ahead and respec the shit later. If you're like, okay, the equipment I actually wanted to use at level like 30, 40, 20, whatever, I don't need these points anymore, let me just respec them. So these are respecable, obviously. This also will adjust your gem capacity. So currently I have a low int gem capacity. I don't really care about that because a lot of it's elemental shit, and I'm playing a poison archer. I'll get into that later, but I don't really care. My DPS is a little bit weird right now because I'm transitioning parts of my build around. But I have support gem capacity, so I can just slap skill gems into whatever, or support gems, and not really care because I have enough of these stats to do so. If you actually only level one thing, you are very limited in your skill gem capacity. And this can punish people who don't quite know how the skill gem system works sometimes. Like a lot of times you're getting a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3 on one skill, and that makes the skill good, or you're doing something, wrong button, like my poison burst where it's all tier 1s. But it's my highest damage spell for a single target, and this is wrong also. These numbers are often incorrect. I really wish they'd fix this. This has 6x on it currently. It's about 12k DPS, and the reasoning is because of all of the +1 poisons that I have in my tree and everything. So this burst arrow does a lot of damage. It also has magnitude. I don't think that's being considered. The armor break, the plague damage is also not being considered because obviously it needs a target to evaluate the damage that it's going to be doing. So these numbers are often just like inaccurate or not fully descriptive of your build. So don't base your DPS solely on this. That's another tip. If you see somebody who's got like 10 million DPS here, it's because they really have a build loaded into that, or they're just good at the game and have spent hours on PoB. Another suggestion: don't use PoB, don't use guides when you're first starting this game. If you're new, don't touch any of that shit. Okay, I have a friend who started playing. They try to start with guides, and they're having issues transitioning to parts of the guide. And the reasoning for this, there's multiple different ones. One, you're new. You don't know what anything does. You have no idea what equipment does. You don't know what build is good, okay? And also, you don't know if the person who put the build out there has updated it at all after patches, or if it's been nerfed, or if a mechanic no longer functions the same way when they made the build. So there's a lot of things around builds you just shouldn't really invest time in looking until you have a general idea of what the game is like, what characters do, what abilities exist, that kind of thing. So my suggestion is pick a character, pick one, and play through the campaign at least, if you can. Don't play Witcher Ranger current, or sorry, Witch or fucking Warrior currently. That's as of the most recent patch, which is 0.11. So don't play classes there, those two currently. Mercenary is kind of okay, but it's still janky. So those three classes are just like, don't really touch them. I know it's kind of sucks. You can play them, but they require more optimization to have fun. Honestly, just play a Ranger, play for the campaign, get to maps, do a couple maps, then look at a build and say, okay, now I understand why this build works this way. I understand why this person wants me to get this. A lot of things builds don't have, from my experience, I don't use them, but I have friends that do, is they don't really tell you your item requirements for some of the situations, depending on where you get them. And sometimes they don't even have a tree, so you don't know what your stat allocation is. So it's really much better to make a concept in your head and then try to make it fit with your build. So I just did Poison Archer, right? Because I like playing Shadow in PoE 1. I like the poison mechanic in general. I find it to be kind of fun. It just basically means you're doing DPS. Well, the boss has a phase where you can't feasibly stand there and attack them. So I teched into this. My numbers are wildly skewed because there's a lot of stuff that are conditional damage on here. Also, like, a lot of my damage is this, which is physical damage. Some of it is definitely not where it needs to be because I haven't updated skill gems and stuff. I'm still trying to get through maps. I'm not really dying in maps behind this death effects or just like things that just kill me because I only have 1,000 health. But don't follow guides. Play the game yourself first, then take a look at a guide that either touched the mechanics you were messing with or that sounds different from what you were playing and sounds cool enough to invest time. Don't start with a guide. It's a really bad idea because you're going to have no fun. Because the guides are often set up to be optimized, right? And a lot of people will have fun with optimized gameplay, but some of the guides are really based on items or weird interactions you might not be aware of. Or some builds might even have like a cast on Ignite thing that you're actually not supposed to do until you're at a certain boss. Or there's builds that like crash your game instance. A lot of those are getting fixed, or should be, presumably, because GG hates that shit. Where like you basically have some crazy cast on Ignite, Frost, and or Freeze and Shock thing, and you're playing the build for it, and it kills your computer. Like, don't play with guides in the beginning. Figure something out that you like yourself, and then screw with a guide that maybe is adjacent or is completely different, but now you have an understanding of how the game works. You understand, or some degree of knowledge to why this works, what's good, what's bad. Thing for items, first of all, currency. Again, I spend a lot of my currency. This is not representative, especially because I'm selling all of this shit. First of all, currency. Currency is for crafting, okay? And trading. The only things for trading you should ever fucking use. Use anything else, sorry, you're an idiot, okay? Is these two. Exalted and Divine Orb. You sell it for these two. You don't sell it for these. You don't sell it for these. Or Chaos or anything else. You sell for these two. This is dictated by the market. In PoE 1, if I'm not mistaken, it went from Exalts to Chaos because of how the market functioned. We're currently here. You don't sell for anything else. You sell for anything else, you're shooting yourself in the foot because, one, you're ripping yourself off because often things people are selling for an Aug Orb are actually an Exalt. And just to give you guys an example of how much you're ripping yourself off, if we go to Alba here and look at our currency exchange, and we say that we want an Exalted Orb, and I have Aug Orbs, this is the market ratio. You are ripping yourself off that hard. Just take this in. One fucking Exalt is equivalent to 230 Aug Orbs, and you're gonna sell a thing that's one Exalt. It's for an Aug. Are you serious? Don't fucking do this. I see this all the time in trade. It's because new people don't understand how shit works. They're just like, oh, this is cheap currency. I sell for it. Don't do it. It's these two. Other piece of advice, if you don't know how to price shit, which is pretty fine, there's an extension. I will link it in the description. Or you could just type in PoE2 Overwolf, and you'll get it. You could just check this shit, set your hotkey, and it will search the market and tell you exactly what it should be priced at. A lot of times, this stuff requires a little bit of searching, because if you look here, we have a ramp all the way up to a div. Okay, why is that a div? So you can click this button and kind of compare notes. So this has got level 65 on it. It's what item level we're sitting at. Item level 70. Okay, that's what we care more about than anything. So item level 72. We're just doing this as an example. This has got stun threshold, which is kind of pointless. The cold res on it's not bad. Armor evasion not bad. Poison duration, I think, is mostly irrelevant. Let's look at the high end. What's going for div and why? What's different here? Okay, it's got spirit on it and some fire res. So it's dual res and spirit's probably the big reason, and better armor evasion. Okay, so if I were to sell this, it would be an exalt at best. That's how you price shit. You don't go and grab these, okay? I really wish whoever... I believe GGG runs the trade site, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's hosted on their page. Why wouldn't they? Please purge this option from all of it, okay? If anyone's selling for this shit, please just knock it off the trade site, because it's bad. I would go through and force delist all of it, but that's just, it's a little much because there's a bunch of new people and they're all selling for trash. Sell for these two. Don't sell for anything else. How do you do selling shit? You need a premium tab. It needs to be a green tab. It needs to be just a standard green tab. Not gems or currency. Okay, these you can't sell out of. Has to be this. You right click it, you click public, and you say each individual or each item individually priced unless you're bulk selling. Then you can set an exact price on all items. The bulk selling would be like if I have 10 million of these jewels, they're all kind of mediocre, I want to sell them all for 1 exalt. I price the entire window as 1 exalt. Or as whatever, how many grid spaces there are, 1 exalt per item. Price calculated up, price it all as that, and then someone spends that amount of exalts on the entire inventory and you're good. So there's bulk pricing, and then you have like a negotiable price situation, and that's if you're pricing something and it's like a 1 of. So like this, for example, is like was a 3 of. I don't know if it's still a 3 of. It's currently a 1 of. So the other 2 have gone away. If I remove the innate, I think we still have 1 more up there. Yeah. So now we have a couple more people out here with rings. So this one was originally, it was 15 and then like 2 div here. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to put it in the middle because I don't know why this one's 2 div. It's got similar stats, but its base is different, so it's probably that's why. And this one is just, I think, underpriced because they don't know how to price stuff and they didn't check this. Or theirs is under-leveled and they're not quite, you know, what they're looking for. Something like that. So I priced it that way. Those 2 were not the ones that I did the pricing with. Those have been sold at this point. So that's how you do pricing and selling. Another thing, my stash, if you tab through this, it's pretty fucking empty. I don't have 9 million items in here. You should be disenchanting shit. Okay, these items are not good for me. I'm going to go to the guy who's disenchant. I'm going to disenchant them. They don't work for my character. Turn them into currency. Don't be selling shit. Okay, a lot of new players see this number and they're like, oh, I got to sell shit. Don't fucking sell anything. Disenchant items that are not usable for you. And then you will get this item throughout Act 1 campaign right here. You use this on anything with sockets or quality, and that's what you do. You don't sell shit. Because when you hit maps, that is like half a map worth of gold. Not even. And that's including like no currency things. Like I didn't add gold to the map or anything like that. Just a generic ass map. That's about what I got. About 10 minutes in, and then I died to an on-death explosion like an idiot. But you don't. Gold is not a problem. Don't fucking spend stuff. Don't mess with this. Okay, just leave this. Just let it build up. There's no reason to fuck with it. If you're gonna play Gamba merchant shit a lot, then, you know, okay, maybe you sell a couple things back to the Gamba merchant instead of disenchanting or assembling them. But realistically, gold is not an object. Don't pay attention to it till you hit maps. Because this, the only thing you want to spend this on is new equipment upgrades, and if you really get like completely screwed out of maps, you can buy them here. You shouldn't have to do this if you're not dying in maps. If your build is viable and like just decent, you shouldn't have to do that ever. Currency exchange. You'll get these guys throughout playing. They're very good. You will have more currency than you actually think you do, because there's ratios in here, and it tells you exactly what the ratio is, and you can trade these. I want more Val Orbs? Okay, I will throw in some Exalts if I were to reverse this. And then boom, she just gives me the exchange. If I put 1 Val Orb in, or 1 Exalt, I get 7 Val Orbs out of it. Boom, I've just printed money. This, for example, is like 100 and change Exalts currently. This is just right here. This is like the premium stuff. These all have a different value that can be converted. You're going to be picking up a crap ton of these unless you have rarity and enough of it for it to matter. For example, my guild stash has some. she can turn those into exalts. You want to buy a thing, you don't have an exalt, do you have enough aug orbs to turn it into it? Because realistically speaking, when you're at probably level 10 to 15, your build should look all yellow, with maybe a unique or two. Uniques are not required, but your build should not have a single rare, or sorry, a magic thing in here. It should all be rare. I don't care if you slam the thing just to make it rare, it should be rare. And the reasoning for it is magic is basically a crafting base. If you're running around with that, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. You're having less mods, less potential usability of the item. Your build should be magic. Should not be magic, sorry. Should be rare, which is the yellow text. Then the orange text is uniques. Uniques, some of them are good, some of them are terrible. Okay, you're gonna figure that out as you play. We have a lot of uniques. During the campaign, they'll be kind of sparse. This is all the ones that I haven't melted that the people in my guild might be using here and there. Like someone's using the Enfolding Dawn currently to solve their spirit issue. But I was using that until I got this. And this. Because I had 200 spirit, and I have 206, I actually surpassed that. But you don't want to be sitting on just uniques. Most of the time, a crafted rare will do better. Unless it's like a pivotal thing in your build, like I'm playing a Burning Plague Archer at the current moment. I want this thing to ignite things so I can then detonate gas clouds and yada yada yada. Not really the core point of the build because I'm Poison Burst arrowing, but it keeps my DPS up and lets me clear a little bit better because my clear speed is a ramp up. Not going to do a build concept yet or anything. So, another thing. You can search in this tree. If you're playing an ice mage, just type in fucking ice. Or is it freeze? No, it's well, it is freeze, I guess. Or frost. What's the... Cold. Sorry, it's cold. Jesus. Make your naming conventions a little bit more sensical, because ice also searches shit. But you type in cold, boom, you see all the nodes that care about cold damage. You can search. It's very nice. It'll enable you to find things, okay? You don't need to look at a guide and be like, oh, you need to find cold damage. No, just search the fucking thing. Plot to it. Okay, you can see all this stuff's kind of around here in the middle. Okay, you just go straight up the middle, you get this, and you get all this stuff. Another mistake people do is they just go straight up the attribute highways. They'll go here and they'll just be like, oh, I want all the stats, I want to go get this thing. This is so far off level-wise, you're going to not be able to do anything. People who do this are either A, good at the game mechanically, or B, know how to itemize their character to make up the difference. Because realistically, you're not gaining any damage taking this attribute highway all the way up to here until you start interacting with this tree. And by that time, that's like probably 20 plus levels worth of shit, maybe 15. I'm not going to count it. You've now wasted 15 levels of XP to do nothing. Don't do that. If you're starting a new character, get these early trees. Figure out what build you want to go. Get the early trees. Get this, get the magic shit. Then, once you get what you need out of here, then you start going up and shooting up these trees and getting cold pad. Maybe you're getting insightfulness. Maybe you're coming over here grabbing this. But do stuff like this. This makes your early game so much nicer than going all the way down and over to here or something. People who do this either have a drastically optimized build, or they're probably using PUB / they've played Path of Exile 1 and already have a concept in mind, I want to try it. It's far easier to use this shit. Also, Ascendancy stuff. I have people who actually didn't even know that this was the thing. You should be Ascended by level 28. Or level 29. Start at Act 2, you ascend. If you have not ascended and you've passed Act 2, go back. There's a lady that you should be fighting. Act 2. This is the Trial of Secundus. You get here by going through Trader's Passage. There is a boss in Trader's Passage. If you did not fight a boss in Trader's Passage, you done fucked up. Go kill the boss. Then go ascend. You need to do it. It is a core part of your class. Some people will play on Ascended as a challenge. This is a core thing that should happen for your build. If you have not Ascended, go fucking do it. You get an infinite retriable token for doing it. The quest item is infinite. If it's green text for... I actually can go show you the item. Not green texted, but if it's this, or it's this item, and they're green texted, they're infinitely retriable. Go do it. It is important. The only way you get your actual like good skills in terms of your class ascendancy is from that. So I'm playing a poison build, so I went for poison stuff. This is really, really good. Double the amount of poisons is insane. I could get 5 skill points for free in this. There's builds that amp your damage. There's builds that give you weird new mechanics, like concoctions and all this other shit, okay? You need to do this unless you're like some weirdo who does a challenge, okay? You do this by the start of Act 2. You haven't done that, that's a problem. You should go back and do it. You got people who are like clearing better than you. They probably ascended, and you may not have. Alright, next thing. How are items good? How are items bad? For the most part, percentage is good, flat is bad. The only time this doesn't really ring true is stuff like added damage, add fizz, add cold can be good, add lightning can be good, add fire can be good, whatever. Health is obviously decent, flat spirit is good. Flat health and high amounts is good, so like this 16 to max life is whatever. The spirit is good here, but for the most part you're looking at high percentage stuff. Life regen, what have you, is not a stat to be like, oh, life regen bricked my item, because often you're gonna need that. Defense in PoE 2 is a lot harder to get, so life regen actually kind of ends up being a non-brick stat. For the most part, you're looking for rarity, you're looking for percentages, and if you have numbers that are flat, you need to be high. Accuracy is basically irrelevant for a lot of builds that are designed for that. For example, my build doesn't care about accuracy because I either have AoE or my things don't actually hit, meaning they don't roll an accuracy check. If you can think about it that way, they just get to hit the target, do their thing. So accuracy for me is irrelevant. Some builds will care, some builds will not. But you should be looking at these for percentages, and for if they're a flat value for mana or ES or spirit or whatever, that they're relatively decent. You don't want an item that says +1 to 4 physical attacks on something. Like this ring, for example. This fire stat, or sorry, this cold, yeah, the fire stat on here is terrible. That's 4 divine fire damage. My bow hits for 2,500. I don't care about this stat. This should be something like 2 to 29 is a good one. Not really, but it's better for this ring. So item valuation is more on your build, but most of the time your thing should have more percentage, more better. It's the easiest way to look at it. When it's a weapon, if it's got flat stuff on it, like adds 12 to 15 fizz, stuff like that, that's not bad. Just make sure it works with your build. Runes you can replace now, so these are no longer a brick your item on accident thing. So use these to kind of solve your resistance for the most part, because it'll help. I have 91 fucking lightning res potential here. So that's my cap. So I could basically be immune to lightning because of these boots. I have kind of mediocre cold and chaos res. Chaos res is hard to get. You should not be like irked if you don't have this res capped, okay? These should be res capped. Okay, I need to get like better shit. These should be res capped. Or at 75% each is the standard res cap minus something that changes it. This, if it's hovering 36 to 40% at this stage, level 75, it's probably not bad, right? You get items that have multiple sockets and shit eventually, like 4+, so you could fix the res that way. Maybe you get a new weird item. Like there are soul core things that you'll get throughout playing stuff, right? We want to go to here. Some of these are worth a shit ton. Okay? If we say exalt, for one of these it's 388 exalts. Let's list it for a div. It's 2 div for a soul core here. Yeah. So check these. These are really important to check. Some of the other things like these also have their own values. Use the exchange. You have more currency than you think because your stash absorbs it this way, and you don't have a way of like converting this automatically or anything. You have to go check. Personally, I'd set up a sell tab. This is a lot of currency that people are not currently buying because some of it's really niche, and so it's like also getting undercut currently. So but stuff's not bad. Sell shit. If it looks mediocre with a couple good things, just sell it 1x. No one buys it after a while, take it out, disenchant that shit. Don't go to an Augor or a Regal. Don't do something stupid like that. Just disenchant it. No one's buying it. Lowering the price into non-buyable currency is not going to make it get sold, okay? Item inventory management and shit, okay? Once you're like in Act 2, pick up yellow shit, that's it. Basic, pick up yellows and uniques. You shouldn't really be picking up blue items in campaign, really, unless it's a good base for crafting, and you have that knowledge, and you're like, okay, this item might be good. If you pick up a lot of blue crap because you're not getting a lot of yellow crap, that's fine. But when you start seeing like every rare is dropping a couple yellows and stuff, start picking up those instead. Because these items are what your build is going to be composed of. If you're sitting at level 40 and you have a blue item, you fucked up. You should be crafting that into something, or it should be a rare, because that's basically just a base item that you're using to craft. So if you get a blue item, for example, this one might have been 184 accuracy and 33 life as a blue item. I crafted all the other shit onto this. I'm not going to run around with a crafting base in my inventory on my character. No, I'm going to craft it into a rare and make it usable. If it doesn't get usable, in terms of it like has stats that are completely irrelevant for me, then I might price check it, see if it can be sold. If it can be sold, then great, I sell it. If not, I disenchant it and get a different one. Crafting is pretty straightforward. This is not a lot of currency. This is like a fucking tiny amount of currency. There are people that have like hundreds of these because they're selling shit. But this, you have more of currency than you think. Getting to endgame, you go for this first. Okay? If you don't, you're kind of just shooting yourself in the foot. This lets you get gold, jewels, ascension shit, socket currency, so runes, kind of useless, and basic currency, meaning everything I just showed you in my currency tab here, in those map types. This is extremely important. You are literally missing out if you don't have this. This shit also obviously scales with rarity and stuff, because rarity will convert some of these to other things. So it's very, very helpful. Now, people might have noticed I haven't done any of these mechanics. I actually tried to purchase some of these stuff because some of the mechanics I actually don't understand fully, completely. I get like the base, like basic thing how it works, but I don't think I'm at the point where they're good enough, or there's as many of them as I need to do things. So currently I'm messing around with Delirium the most. But yeah, getting this early is basically what you want. This will let you ascend quicker, it'll let you get more currency, get more gold. Jewels are nice because people often drool over them, depending on their stats. But that's like a new player tips. Hopefully you guys can use them. Or you ignore it completely and this video gets 3 views.